My immature boyfriend left me on the road to die, but now he wants to come back. On the 6th of October, my partner and I attended a medical ball that my workplace hosted. I worked at that hospital for over 5 years and was a well-respected nurse. Even though my husband was an electrician, they gave me 2 tickets to attend with him. We had been on the rocks for a while, and the night before the ball we had gotten into quite a big fight. We'd fight about where our lives were taking us. He wanted to settle down in our small hometown, but I had an interest in moving away into a big city. It seemed like I was giving up a lot more of my future to suit his desires. I traveled 100 miles to see him most of the time, but he'd complain that an hour was too long to drive to see me. He'd also do things like subscribe to OnlyFans accounts just to see my reaction. The night of the ball, the vibe was off. Despite trying to introduce him to some of my colleagues or getting him to dance with me, all he wanted to do was sit at the table and scroll through Facebook. I quickly realized that he wasn't in the mood, so I enjoyed the rest of the night myself. When we were in the Uber making our way back, we got into another argument. I asked, "Why did you come if you were going to sit outside and barely speak?" He looked at me with a strict face and told me what's done is done. As we arrived back at my house, he asked me to wait because he had something important to say. He said, "You live far away and we don't get along too well, I think we should break up." This took me by surprise, and me being me, I started crying. He then proceeded to walk down the street and I ran after him to try and change his mind. He saw me running after him, so he decided to sprint away. I was wearing heels and my legs couldn't keep up with the speed I was going, so I fell over quite hard. I couldn't get back up as my right knee and lower leg were bruised. I was crying and screaming in pain, but he didn't even look back. My phone was dead, so I waited crying and yelling in agony until someone walked by and called me an ambulance. I was transported to the closest hospital, where they told me that I fractured my tibia and had completely torn my meniscus and PCL. The next 2 months of my life were the hardest. I tried reaching out to my ex, but he never replied or checked up on me. I was stuck in a hospital and was dependent on other people. I got a knee reconstruction, which prolonged my stay at the hospital. One morning when I woke up, I saw a message from him saying how much he misses me and how incomplete his life feels without me. He didn't mention my broken legs or knees, which led me to believe that he didn't care. If he cared about me, he wouldn't have left me crying in the middle of the road, unable to get up. I kept reading what he had said, and he mentioned awful things. I thought that he may have tried to guilt-trip me by saying how he wants to unalive himself, but a part of me believed his words. I told him I was at the hospital and asked if he wanted to come visit and we would talk our relationship through. He pretended to be surprised that I was in the hospital, even though he was my emergency number. He said he would come visit, but I had no intention of letting him in. The nurse came to my room a few hours later telling me that I had a guest waiting. I told her, "I'm not expecting anyone, tell them to leave."